Hey guys, it's Kate and I hope you're having a great day. I just wanted to come and give you a quick watercolor technique that is going to be part of this watercolor technique and tutorial series. And this one is going to cover how to just use plain water to add texture to your watercolor paintings. So we've all heard probably about the cauliflower effect. And so a lot of times, especially on cellulose paper, you have where you have almost dry or slightly damp watercolor that you add more paint to or more watercolor to, and it kind of has this backflow. And so you get this sort of bloom when it dries and it's sort of a hard edge. And in some cases, you want that on purpose to add some texture or some interest to your painting. And you can do that just with plain water. So if you're trying to do it on purpose, here is a good way how. And so I have my quill brush and I'm dipping into my purple red from my Marie's Masters palette. Now I'm just putting down a light coat of that purple red, just a light wash. And it's pretty even here on my page. I'm working on cold press watercolor paper that is 100% cotton. And I'm going to do another one here in blue. And I want to show you a couple of different things you can do, one with plain water and one with a different color of paint. And you can just add splashes to it and it will have a pretty neat effect. So what you want to look for is one, that your paper is not too wet. You want it to be just slightly damp or have a very slight sheen to it. In fact, if you kind of let this sit here for about a minute or two and just let it dry like what I'm doing while we're talking here, we will be ready to add that water and it will have a really neat effect. So I'm actually going to add the water with my number 10 round. This is Faux Squirrel. And I'm going to check my paper. And I think we're right about ready. So I don't know if you can see in the camera, but there's just a very, very slight sheen. In fact, if I were to put the back of my hand on this, it's just slightly damp. And that is perfect. I put a light coat of paint on here. So on this top one, I am just going to splash some water, plain water. And you can see those blooms starting to come out right now. And I accidentally got a little bit right here, but that's okay. Now, I can also do a whole stroke of paint if I want, and it will create that bloom effect right there. Now, if I want to, I can also come in with color. And I'm going to go in with this purple red. And I'm going to splash that onto my blue. And that will have kind of a similar effect. I'm going to paint with some of it. And I've got splashes right here. And it may be a little bit too dry. So let me just try a little bit more. And hopefully I didn't wait too long to get that effect. It might actually be a little bit too dry already. So just to make sure, I'm going to put another quick little layer right here of that blue. And I'm going to give that just about a minute. And you can see this will continue to grow. And if you look at the salt video that we do, it's very similar to the effect of salt on your watercolor painting. So I'm going to dip into this purple red again and come over here to this side and add those splashes. And I'll also add a paint stroke there. And we will wait for this to dry, and I'll be right back. Okay, we're all dry, and so I'm going to give you the close-up of the effect. So you can see how this one looks a lot like the salt texture effect when you put some salt grains on it, but you can also make strokes and do all sorts of things to add that texture. And this would be great, especially if you want to push some paint out of the way. It kind of lightens it up in the center, so you could add another color. Like if you wanted to turn this, let's just say, into a bouquet of abstract flowers, you could do that and you'd have a little bit more room to put some color and you'd kind of have some natural outlines there. In this one, it was a little bit too dry, but you can see the effect of some of those color splashes, how they're just a little bit kind of hard edged on the outside where some of that backflow was. And then over here it's more pronounced, so you can see where it has a similar outline as these ones over here. But because we used another color, it's a little bit less of a hard edge, although if it had dried slightly more, then probably you would have more texture like this too. But there's kind of that sweet spot there where I think I waited a little too long here and not quite long enough there. But this is also a really neat effect if you wanted to use it in your paintings. So I hope this gives you some ideas on ways to add texture to your watercolor, and it can be as easy as just adding some extra water to your page. So if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep creating.